start with the Saturday Review question. The writing of a poem, is it your intention to create beauty?
The poem, I follow the meaning as it's unfolding in the poem. So that in one sense of beauty, that is the one in which exact registers of meaning and the exact feel of a phrase can be quite beautiful. But then I am also, there's another element in the poem that I've related several times in poetry to Tiffany's vases. That is the glimmer, the glimmer of something. I think in that poem Architecture I spoke of the glimmer of titles, the glimmer of the gold across the back of a book's binding, and then ornamental cushions. The tone leading of vowels in the poem, so that you have something like the rhyme in a conventional poem, but it comes from a glimmer of vowel sounds going through the poem. And then the sharpness, the other element that fascinates me, is the combination of this glimmer and the sharpness and deliberateness of the shaping. The shaping of these phrases to me would be like the sharpness of a letter that has also got the glimmer of gold. Glitter can have too, that would come from consonants. But in my mind, in relation to the poem, I'm more likely in this dimension to relate all of the elements of the poem to something seen than I am to music. The music, which means a great deal to me, has more to do with the melodic flow through the poem, with the feeling of movements, with the feeling of stanza breaks, and the dance within this form.
No one hears so much, probably because of Dr. Williams, about American speech, American idioms, the natural rhythms of speech in poetry. What's your relationship to that?
Theoretically, I would differ from Williams, but I don't know that I'm so very different from later Williams's poetry in my view of what it is. Williams's insistence on American language and American things had a great deal to do with his relationship to Ezra Pound and then especially his feelings about Eliot and how the Wasteland became a great cultural event where the Spring and All, written the same year by Williams, which now means much more to us than the Wasteland. Or I couldn't even say now, because I didn't belong to the Wasteland's day. But in the 30s, for instance, the Wasteland I was very familiar with, and much of what I do comes in different ways to the Wasteland. But Spring and All seems to me a much more vital thing in the poetic tasks we face today. That is, Spring and All knew to relate to the thing directly, and especially for me, where I have more tendency, like Pound and Eliot, to go via passages in books. And because I recognize that this is a virtue that has also got its vice right intimate with it, I have to bring myself back to order, and Williams gives me a way to come back to order. So that, for instance, to have a vase like the actual Tiffany vase means a great deal, because my mind, which could very well dwell in the concept of such an object, when it is objectified, then I am forced to return back and see, yes, this is the way the light reflects from it, that it has its beauty, because Tiffany, with asbestos gloves, made the rim of this, shaped it with his hands, and hands have an intelligence that hands are much more subtle in their intelligence than the brain is. The brain's real image is the computer. The hand's mathematics are much more intricate, and if we were to try to sit down and describe what my hands are doing here, the mathematics or the geometry of it would be beyond our replica, whereas most of our mental motions can be put down in machine. But that's this seems to me then also because because it's so much in in a medium that is very different from words, excites words. I'm not going to reduplicate its material. I'm not going to. When I imitate this, I must completely create and invent the world in which I created.
The properties of this vase then are alive in your imagination and accessible to you in some way.
Yes, so its irregularities are like the irregularities I seek. Now, when you spoke of the American tradition, I'm drawn to Tiffany, of course, because there was a great American artist. We only recently recognized, along with it, of course, has gone of fashion for Tiffany as and for Art Nouveau as now an item of the grand chic and interior decoration of this year. But I have noticed over 20 years, if we'll decide that I started, well, even more than that, I guess, 26 years or something. If I start at 20, that I'm never likely to have elegance. You can't have elegance out of this clutter. I always need so many things to suggest so much. I've got to relate myself to a different sort of thing. In a poem, I might have elegant decisions, but I'm thinking of the way I live. My household really is a dismay for all interior decorators.
Your household reminds me at times of a great collage.
Yes, right, and we now more and more.
I'll just stand back here and play for a while.
Yeah.